So we open up turn 3's action phase with the Polish royal election. This is what the Turks chose to play. They spent a couple of points dropping a scientist in here with the intention of eventually building the Suez Canal, so they want that excavation bonus. Now, they want to play this early to try to drain cards out of the Empire's hand. And all three of the powers decided they have this choice to bid either a card or a treasure for its CP value. The Empire has no treasures. The other two threw treasures, and it was a hard choice for the Empire, but they chose to play a card anyhow. There's an advantage if you win this. With a high enough roll, you get a couple of victory points for becoming King of Poland. Otherwise, Ivan the Terrible of Russia becomes King of Poland. So let's reveal what we have here. The Spaniards have a 3, the French have a 3, and the Germans put a 2 at risk. Now, to each of these, you add the roll of a die, and let's roll the German one first. They ended up with a total of 3, so they're not going to become emperor no matter what. The French ended up with a total of 4. And the Spaniards ended up with a 6. So the Spanish managed to secure the crown of Poland, sorry, not the Empire. And they immediately get 2 victory points. I'm going to look for a Polish chit. There probably is one. If not, I don't know how you mark this. Alright, onward. And because it's turn 3, we got special stuff starting right away. Looking at the Spaniards, they played a card up there, a low value card, to place an operative, an informant, on France's sheet. They're going to do some spying or something on them. And on top of that, they played a treasure so that they can move forward and siege Lyon. Basically, they want actions quick at this point. They want to get the informant in place because they have plans. And another mandatory event, the English played the Scottish Lords Rebel. The roll-offs, the Protestants had the advantage on this, which is why the English played it when they did. They otherwise might have had to build up their position in Scotland. Scotland has gone over to the Protestants. They get Huguenot markers there to indicate that they're not Dutch Protestants. And victory points have swung. You can see the Protestants have gained quite a bit of ground on the French. That's pulling the French down, though. So now it's really only Spain and Germany that are up there at the top tier. Anyway, in addition, it gives the Dutch their first, or the Protestants their first key outside, which is the ones that they need in order to win. They need that bottom row, the gray guys. And finally, it makes Mary imprisoned, which can cause all sorts of problems in England for the intrigue table. And I believe that also generates one of these. Mary Queen of Scots has been captured. So that's makes war with Spain a little easier. Instead of a 5-point cost, now it's a 3-point cost. And this means, I believe, some of the automatic events. Spain can land in the British Isles and trigger a war now, for example. Those become available with no cost. Alright, onward through this first little card play. It's pretty exciting, actually. And to finish things up for that round, Montmorency built a unit and charged into Don Juan. Attrition battle here, equal dice, because the defender's extra die, and ended up doing significant losses. Sufficient to probably knock Don Juan down to where he can't siege Lyon easily anymore. He's only got 2 strength points there. There's 1 unit in there. He's allowed to maintain a siege, but the chances of success are low. And Montmorency, with easy availability to additional troops being in France, has a significant advantage over the Spaniards at this point. Okay, so from there we went to the Holy Roman Empire, who played this war in Persia. And that forces the Turks to throw at least 3 strength points. And by the way, they picked a 5-point strength war, the maximum level of war. That's going to cause a -1 card play for the Ottomans. And it's worth a victory point if the Ottomans win the game. I think, from my understanding of the game, the only war winner counters come from these foreign wars. Unlike in Here I Stand, where you could win wars and gain victory points against other major powers. Here it seems to only be something you can do via this mechanism, or maybe something else in the event deck that'll come up and allow you to win wars. Let's see what else we got here. Alright, so after that we go to the Dutch, who played another mandatory event, an untimely death this time. They targeted the Holy Roman Empire and took out their second leader. It's not going to have a lot of effect, but it certainly, it does change the balance of power a little bit in the East. Just in terms of number of troops the Germans could carry with them. There really weren't any good choices for that. Now, on to the next one, I guess. They spent points also and created some more rebellions. Paris is once more Protestant, and Caen is in revolt. And the Turks open up this next card round with a massive attack on Belgrade. They built up their forces to the full 12 units that Sokolo could carry, and smacked into the German army. Germans played these elite troops here, which gave them 3 extra dice. Actually made it an even battle. Look at all those dice. But the Ottomans ended up outrolling them tremendously, and now there's 2 Germans left to, 8, 9 Ottomans sieging Belgrade. They left a unit in there to slow them down. The Germans have mainly lost the field battle for this turn. It's very difficult to recover once you do that, but taking the sieges is going to cost the Turks something. The Spanish played the Henry III Anjou card that makes, what's his name, Charles IX, disappear. He's dead. His marriage with Mary Queen of Scots failed. She's still going to be available now. I could take his counter off the board. And now here's the problem. Beyond that, well, the Spanish then used the points there to capture Lyon, and they just got it. I'm not sure I like these things, no matter how, even if they're stable. Too easy to knock over. Alright, so then I come to the English and I start thinking, hey, I'm going to build those race-built galleons. I forgot to put Hawkins on the map, so I'm putting him there. That's illegal, but, we like to fudge things, right? Anyway, I don't want to use him because I've got Drake here. And I don't remember how I found out how the sea captains come in and how everything comes in. But we're in another one of those, geez, I look at the rule book and it's not very helpful. I want to find out what race-built galleons do. There's, first of all, no index. Painful. That's just a pain in the butt. And I'm sure somebody will print one out online or something at some point. But there's just no index anywhere. There's a lot of pages that were used for stuff that I don't know if an index would have been a good choice. But there's a lot of paper in this game already. But an index to me is vital. So I look at a couple of places where I think it might cover it, say the Naval Affairs section. I kind of skim through it. There's nothing there that I found. It may be somewhere, but it's not under interceptions where I thought it might be. It's not under combat itself, it seems. I don't know. I don't see anything to call it out. Now, of course, I know I read something about it. So I go to the construction area, which is somewhere else. And I don't know where that is, but that doesn't explain what they do. I can turn here to the table of contents and see if that has it mentioned somewhere, but, it just doesn't look like anything other than what I looked for. I'll keep looking because I want to know what the hell the damn things do. I know they have some advantage. I just can't for the life of me remember what it is, and the rulebook ain't helpful at finding it. Alright. Well, I found someplace that tells me race-built galleons are the equivalent to galleons, except they take less damage when fighting in the Atlantic. Let's see what that means. Buried somewhere in here. But, you have to look up the specific unit. Things should be easier to find. Certainly, take casualties, I bet you that's here. Race Belt Canyon, they can ignore 1 hit with a 5 for each Race Belt galleon involved. Okay, so they've got a definite combat advantage. That's cool, because they certainly did quite well against the Spanish Armada. Alright, well, I think I'll try to build some. Well, the English chose otherwise. Didn't want to build those galleons. Instead, what I did was I patronized this artist, get some victory points up there, and then on the other side, I spent that science bonus and grabbed, I think, the plantation one. Another option would have been the navigation advantage that map projection gives. Basically, scientists are going to become, the sciences are becoming less and less important. I don't know if I did things right by playing this chit as an action. Again, I don't want to look things up, and it's too hard in this rule book. The hell with it. I'm close enough. For the French, they played the Dutch Revolt mandatory card. This is going to give them 2 actions, which I'll try to figure out. I think Montmorency is probably going to do something, and I may be spending the treasure. But basically, you count up the number of spaces in the Netherlands. Now, I'm hoping this orange area is the Netherlands. I believe it is, and not... yeah, it has to be. And anyway, the Spaniards got the advantage, and we see what these Dutch Revolt markers are for. They're just victory points off this card, which can come up multiple times, and we've been doing things correctly so far. French have a couple points, though. And for the rest of that little round, let's see. While the French attacked and are now besieging Lyon, Don Juan was able to withdraw successfully. He left a unit behind to force a siege there, slow the French down. They don't have a lot of cards here. They can hold 1. They've got 1 big home card left to use. Now this is really cool because it only works with the informant stuff. But that's going to give them a lot of actions, so they probably want to hold the other card as a point card for the next turn, unless they really want to conduct more actions this turn. Over on the Imperial side, they played their home card to patronize the arts and got themselves an Italian artist up here. And the bonus there is they get a free card off of it. So it's kind of a delaying thing. It's a nice card for a lot of points, but they don't have the army to use a lot of points. Of course, they could have built up an army, but they just don't have the forces to challenge the Ottomans at this point. They got a card that makes them happy against the Ottomans. It's going to get rid of Selim here, which will make things more difficult on them. And then for the Dutch, they said, uh-oh, we see Drake sailing out. Drake's dangerous. He could make the circumnavigation before us. Let's set sail. And they sent Leclerc forward. And he should have taken his little control marker, just so I know he's not French, to try to get along quicker. It's possible the English could still beat him, though. It depends. He's got 2 spaces to go and a bad roll. A possibility. We'll see. All right. Where else do we go? I think we'll load this one up.